Hello and welcome to your 14th pre-cal class. I am, of course, Mr. Marcus, your favorite summer school online teacher. And today, we're going to continue to talk about factoring polynomials, but we're going to talk about factoring sums and differences of cubes. Now, there are some formulas to factor sums and differences of cubes, slightly different than what we're accustomed to doing with the quadratics, but very similar in how the process goes. So let's get to it, okay? So the formulas for, or let's go over what a difference of cubes is. So a difference of cubes, if we have something like a cubed minus b cubed, in reality that is a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. And if we have a sum of cubes, which would be a cubed plus b cubed, that would be a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. Now, it looks like it's very complicated, but in reality, it's quite easy, and I'm actually going to go ahead and explain how this works. So let's look at the first one. You have 27x cubed minus 1. Now, I know that this would be my a, and this would be your b, but what you want to do is actually find the cube root of each number first. So the cube root of 27x cubed and the cube root of 1. Now the cube root of 27x cubed is basically saying what number multiplied by itself 3 times equals 27, and the answer is actually 3, because 3 times 3 is 9 and 9 times 3 is 27, so we have 3. And the cube root of x cubed, remember that this exponent cancels out with this one, so that would be 3x, and minus, right? And the cube root of 1 is 1, because 1 multiplied by itself 3 times is 1. So I have A and I have B. What I'm going to do now is actually just plug them in, and I'm actually going to plug in, let's see if I can, yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to continue it here. And I'm going to say, well, A minus B is going to be 3x minus B. Let's actually write it up here. So 27x cubed minus 1 equals A, which is 3x, minus B, which is 1. So 3x minus 1 times A squared, which is 3x squared, plus A times B, which is 3x times 1, plus B squared, which is 1 squared. So what's going to happen now is basically 3x minus 1 is going to stay expressed, and 3x squared is actually 3 times 3, which is 9, and x times x, which is 9x squared, and plus 3x times 1, which is 3x, and 1 squared, which is 1. So our final answer is actually 3x minus 1 times 9x squared plus 3x plus 1. Now if you multiply this, multiplying the polynomials, and this is a live show and my marker decided to fly off. So as I was saying, if you decided to multiply this times this, you would get your original problem, right? So again, all I did was first I obtained the cube root of 27x cubed, which is 3x, and the cube root of 1, which is 1. I plugged them into the formula a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared, and a is 3x, b is 1, a squared is actually 3x squared, plus ab is actually 3x times 1 plus b squared, which is 1 squared, and then I just, evaluate. So 3x elevated to the power 2 is 9x squared, and x times 1 is 3x, and 1 times 1 is 1. So this is my final answer. I'm actually going to go ahead and erase this so I can do my next example, okay? So my next example, and I'm actually on page 32 if I'm not mistaken of your textbooks, is x to the power of 6 plus 8. So we're going to do the same thing, and you can find the cube root of 6. Now, how could you find the cube root of 6? Well, the way we do it is this way. So I know that if I look for the cube root of 6 of x to the power of 6, if I look at that, I know that basically the cube root of 6 of x, okay. So let me explain it simpler. Finding the cube root of x to the power of 6 is actually the same thing as saying x to the power of 6 elevated to the power of 1/3. So you multiply 6 times 1/3 and that actually equals x squared. So the cube root of 6 is actually x squared plus the cube root of 8. Now the cube root of 8 is basically asking me what numbers multiply by itself 3 times equals 8, and the answer is 2. So plus 2 and plus 2. Okay? So I have A and I have B, and all I need to do is plug them in. And this is going to be x squared, which is A, plus 2, which is B, times A squared, which is x squared elevated to the power of 2, minus A times B, which is 2, or x squared, times 2, plus b squared, which is 2 squared. Okay, so all I did was I found the cube root of 6. Now remember, the cube root of 6 is the same thing as saying x to the power of 6 elevated to the power of 1/3. 6 times 1 is 6, divided by 3 is 2, and that's where I get the x squared from. And the cube root of 8 is asking how many times or what number multiplied by itself 3 times equals 8, which in this case is 2. Here's A and here's B. I plug them into the formula. A is x squared, B is 2. Now A squared would be x squared elevated to the power of 2 minus AB, which is x squared times 2, plus B squared, which is 2 squared. So all I do now is evaluate and bring down the x squared and the 2. And x squared elevated to the power of 2 is the same thing as saying 2 times 2. So this is x to the power of 4 minus, of course, x squared times 2 is 2x squared, plus b squared, which is actually 2 squared. Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't change it, which is 2 squared, and 2 squared is 4. So your answer is x to the power of 4 minus 2x squared plus 4. And when you're done watching this video, and when you're done watching the bloopers of me dropping my marker or getting like caught up, you're going to go to page 34 of your textbooks and you're going to answer problem 79 through 81, or 79 through 81. So this is your favorite summer school math teacher, fumbling and bumbling, saying goodbye, and I will see you soon.